You know, when you play wide, and whenever I was playing well, you could hear the seats start to flip back when people were standing up, and it would just put hairs on the back of your neck, and it would give you such confidence because you felt like you were getting the crowd off their feet, literally. And they were so good for me in the early days. They really took to me from day one, and they've been brilliant ever since. I came into it really late, actually. I came into it, I was 13 at least, going on 14. I've been brought up in a GAA community, and that's the only sport I played. Though it actually wasn't a football club for me to actually play for in the local area that I was from. So sort of through a friend who had started to play for Balymard United, just started going with him, got into it that way, and just loved it from day one. Unbelievable coaches down there. Somebody who really helped me along the way was Brian Kahn, an unbelievable youth development coach. And he was so good to me, and he was so good for me, just filled me with confidence from day one. I just loved it, and never looked back, and things just snowballed completely. Within a year, I'd had offers to go across the water, and then within 2 years, United came in, and it was just beyond belief. But yeah, it was very, very rapid, the whole thing. But I had an unbelievable time playing youth football for Balymard, and great memories.
And did you always want to grow up to be a footballer? So was every kid's dream to play football, but to join Man United as well at such a young age, it must have been a dream stuff for you.
It was incredible. But I wouldn't have even said that it was never on my radar. I didn't think it was possible. There was no pathway for that to be possible, really. So I just went to Balymard to play football, to play soccer as I called it then, because I played GAA up to that point, and just had an unbelievable time and met really good friends, some friends that I still call friends today. But Balymard had an excellent youth system, and they still do, the academy system there and everything around it. Really organised, really good structure, and it just helped me to grow as a player and as a person. And I'll always be grateful to Balymard, to Brian Kahn, and to Whitey Anderson.
Sort of your time at Man United, even looking at that photo like Josh King. Tell us a bit about your time at Man United and what that was like.
It's a bit of a running joke. I don't like to talk about Man United, and the boys in here always say that it's the first thing I say, but it isn't really. I had an unbelievable time at Man United, as you can expect. I was a boyhood fan growing up. It was just, it's difficult to put into words. Sometimes even now it feels like it didn't happen. It's been that long ago, and at the time it was just beyond dreams, you know, to go there and to sign for the biggest club in the world, and the club that I and my family had followed our whole lives. So yeah, like I say, it's still something that feels very surreal, but an incredible experience, something that I'll obviously remember for the rest of my life. And really good people there too. Sadly it didn't work out, but you know, you can't really have a better upbringing in football than to go and play in the Manchester United Academy, and to be around some unbelievable people and some unbelievable players. The players that I played with, a lot of them went on to have really good careers, so the level was just so high. And even around the first team then, you're talking the best players in the world. Ronaldo was there then, Rooney, Tevez, all those superstars. So to be able to, you know, look across at the other pitch that we're training on and to see that, yeah, surreal.
And even in your time there, like brushing shoulders with people like that, even Alex Ferguson and stuff, did you ever have any contact with the first team, or was there ever any times you were close to, you know, those big personalities, or any lasting impressions they left on you?
Yeah. And I think they sort of designed it that way, in a way that you could see them up close and personal. We were in the same building as them, but then there would have been clear barriers too. We wouldn't have been on the same side of the building. We wouldn't have been in the same change room or anything like that, or anywhere close, because I think they wanted that to be the target and the challenge. But at the same time, first team were brilliant around us and would always try and make us feel welcome and speak to us. And the manager, in the same way, he would have known everybody's first name 100% the whole way down through the levels, which was bizarre to say the least. That you have the greatest manager in the history of football and he knows your first name. It was strange to say the least, but an unbelievable time, and obviously something that I will never forget, but difficult at times, because I probably knew underneath it for a long time there that it just wasn't at that level. So adversity there too, but I think it helped me in the long run to sort of deal with. It was the first time that I'd come into a sort of low point in football, and had to deal with that and move on, and again, I suppose, helped me grow.
Sort of coming back home then, you made a real impression for Balymard, I guess, where it all started. Tell us a wee bit about that time again at Balymard, and some fond memories and some good achievements during that time.
Yeah, no, it was a difficult period when I came home. You can probably see in that picture a bit of passion there, because I think it was a really difficult period coming back from obviously the biggest club in the world, and then all of a sudden you've come full circle, which was hard to deal with, to say the least, because I'd worked so hard over there. I mean, in England, I probably knew that I didn't have that level of ability, but one thing I tried to do every day was to try and be the most hard-working person in the building, because I had to be. So to come home, and unfortunately at the time I was quite disappointed to have come full circle, like I said. So then I just had to start again and working my way back up, from the ground back up to hopefully a good level. And this was the start of our I believe our Premiership season. So first season I wasn't pulling up any trees really. It took me a while to get back used to it, playing men's football. Going from academy football to men's football is obviously a big jump, but it was the best thing for me, because Whitey Anderson brought me in and again filled me with confidence, played me every week. The first season I was there, probably started over 30 games, same in the second and the third seasons. I knew I was going to play every week, which was what I needed at the time. But I suppose in that picture what you're seeing is somebody who felt like they were proving a point again, maybe, and proving that they were good enough. They were good enough to play at that level, probably a higher level, and it was a really, really good time with an unbelievable team who really we punched above our weight, I would say, and we had a lot of success.
And in that first season back in the Premiership, finishing in the top six, and some real Irish League stalwarts like Mark Stafford as well in that team, it was a really good group, and they achieved what they did. It was really good at the time. Yeah,
I think a lot of credit has to go to Whitey. He put together an unbelievable team, an unbelievable squad, and I don't think we realised how good we were until we got promoted, went up, and then we had just an unbelievable season that first season. And then players started to get poached left, right and centre, because all the Premiership teams were looking at the likes of Jay McCartney and Staff and Leon Carter and all these other brilliant players, Liam Martin who's in that picture. So I mean, yeah, it probably is missed a little bit how much of an achievement that was to finish fifth in our first season ever in the Premiership. Sort of similar, I suppose, to the Loughgall story at the moment, but to finish fifth, I mean, it was incredible. A really, really good achievement, a historic one for the football club, and yeah, I'm hoping now they can get back to that.
And signing for Cliftonville, they were league champions at the time. How did the move come about to come here to Solitude?
I think most people probably have heard the story about me being signed from a jacuzzi in Santa Ponsa, but yeah, again, surreal. I remember just sitting at home one day and the phone going, and I was a bit wary about answering it, because I knew that they were the team that had won the league the year before. We were over celebrating in the sun, and yeah, there was a phone call, and I think even from that moment, speaking to the likes of Conor Devlin and Tommy Breslin, these people, they probably had a few at that point, but I suppose the biggest worry was that when they sobered up I wasn't going to get another phone call. But as soon as that was in my head and the seed had been planted, I sort of knew that that's where I wanted to go, and it was just an unbelievable first year. I mean, you couldn't really write it to go and repeat the success that they had the year previous. And I just remember in the first few weeks and months, it was the pressure was more about trying to impress those people, the people in that picture. They were the best in the league. You had some unbelievable talent and, you know, amazing players. I mean, Liam Boyce is there. I mean, one of the best that's ever played at this league, in this league. So that was the challenge at first, to get them on side and to try and impress them and to make sure that they felt that I belonged at that level, and I always remember that coming into training. There was almost more pressure in training than there was at the weekend, because I just felt like I needed to have them trust me and believe in me, and that happened quite quickly, fortunately for me, and it just took off from there.
So making your debut, obviously, the European games against Celtic, what was that like as an experience, and playing Celtic Park as well? It must have been incredible.
Yeah, again, probably a bit of a trend of me saying that it's a bit surreal, but it is when you look at the story. I mean, these things usually don't happen. To make your debut against Celtic, an absolute powerhouse of Scottish and European football, to make your debut in the Champions League against them. The first leg was at home and I was lucky enough to come on, and then again in the second leg I got even more time on the pitch, so playing against a massive crowd in a huge game, and the tie was probably over at that point already, but we really enjoyed that night and that experience, and that picture is actually just at the end of a really good move that we had put together. We played some really nice football in that game, and unfortunately we just couldn't put that one in the back of the net, because I think it would have been a great goal to look back on. But a brilliant night for everybody associated with the football club, and you know, the club deserved that after the season that they had the year before.
And how did you find those European nights just in general in your time here at Solitude? There's always a wee bit of glamour to them. There's something special about those European nights when an Irish League team's involved.
I've always loved them. To be honest, I've loved going away more, because it's just something that, you know, you just don't get to do that often in football, is to go to these other big, you know, clubs across Europe. We played in Hungary, played against Debrecen in Hungary. I remember I played Larnaca in Cyprus. You know, we've been to Luxembourg. We've been all over Europe, and I've been so lucky to be involved in so many of them over the years. So I think those are, you know, definitely memories that I'll take with me. But the supporters here are unbelievable on the European nights as well. They really appreciate those nights, and I think luckily over the last 11 years we've been able to do that quite often. Even in the seasons where maybe we've let ourselves down a bit, we've pulled together, and a lot of the time we've got European qualification, which has really helped the club and has helped us build back up to where we are now.
In your first season you played really well, and that's a real moment, that goal against Glentoran in the run-in. It's bound to be one of your best goals you scored in the Irish League.
Yeah, it's up there definitely. I haven't scored that many, but the few that I've scored I've really enjoyed, and some of them have been quite nice goals. I had a difficult enough season. My first season was obviously a fairy tale in the end, but over the first couple of months I was, you know, playing really well, and we had some massive results. I remember we beat Linfield away from home, which was a huge game, and we played really well, and fortunately I played, you know, quite well in that game, and for the first few months it was great. Then I started to come into a bit of a dip in form. And again, big challenge there, and then I got injured. I actually broke my collarbone in that first season, so I was out again for a while, and you're starting to think after the good start maybe this isn't going the way that we wanted it to. But again, I just used that to put the head down, and used that injury as a chance to build back up, and I got a bit stronger. And then for some reason, I don't know, it all just came together in the run-in, and it just one of those periods in my career where I felt I couldn't do anything wrong, and every time I shot it seemed to go in, every time I crossed we seemed to score from it. We were getting huge results against Glentoran, Crusaders, a massive result against Linfield. I think we might have been 8 points behind in the run-in, so we were up against it. We had taken a dip collectively as well, but in that period it just felt like we couldn't do any wrong, and it felt like the tide was beginning to turn. and luckily for me, I was able to play. I was able to play a big role in that, and really, I remember that period as probably my best in football, to be honest.
What was that group like? Obviously, they won the league the year before, but give us a sense of what that group was about and the real talent in that changing room. It must have been quality.
Quality, unreal. Just brilliant people, and it was a really tight knit group, and I knew that going in. Probably another reason why I wanted to really, make an impact. But really tight knit group, real togetherness, and it wasn't a massive squad. So you had, I would say, probably maybe 15, 16 core players who played every week, and a small bit of rotation obviously around that. But quality players, like real high level players. I mean, Liam Boyce was in there. I don't even like to go through the individuals because I'll always miss somebody out if I do that. He's obviously one of the standouts, but you had quality players across the board. A massive captain and leader in George McMullen, who was a quality player as well. It's just an unbelievable group to come into and to be able to play with every week, and I learned so much because I was still a young player. I think I was around 21 at the time, so they brought my game up to another level because I was able to play and train with them players every week.
We're here now with Solitude. What's it meant to you?
Yeah, it's hard to put it into words. Even walking in today, starting to get again a bit of emotion coming back into it because obviously now I've decided to retire, but it's just a special place. There's such a history around it, and I love playing here. I always did. In the early days, I was a winger, so sort of. I was about to say, chalk on your boots, but obviously we don't have chalk on the artificial pitch, but I would have played really wide, and I always loved playing against or down into the bottom goals, because when you play wide, and whenever I was playing well, you could hear the seats start to flip back when people were standing up, and it would just put hairs on the back of your neck, and it would give you such confidence because you felt like you were getting the crowd off their feet, literally. And they were so good for me in the early days. They really took to me from day one, and they've been brilliant ever since.
And even after a win or a big victory, the players always seem to go over towards the understand. It always seems a bit of a ritual, but why do you do that, and why has that been a thing through the years?
I don't know. It's hard to describe them. They're a bit mad, but they're unbelievable for us, and there is now this connection. I think that's one thing now over probably last 5 years I've found, probably to be honest, since Paddy came into the club, where there is that real connection now between the supporters and the players again. Don't know why that is. But you can feel it. You're going to feel it, especially I think in those nighttime games. But we try to do that. We try to show our appreciation, obviously, for all our supporters. I think it's probably because we have a few homegrown players here who are really, they live in the community and they have good friends who are supporters, and I think they sit around there too. And there just seems to be all these sort of connections that have been born. But yeah, I've loved playing here, and I can't wait to come back and watch games.
So I think that's the day you won the league down at Portadown. You scored in the game. Just tell us a wee bit about that day and the relief almost, and just winning the league. Yeah, no, that's the word probably I would use. I think that probably is it's not the best goal I've scored, but I think it's probably the one that meant the most, because we had reined Linfield back in. They had a good lead. The Glentoran goal came maybe, I don't know, a week or a couple of weeks before this one. But this was we were right down to the wire now at this point. I think it was a Tuesday. And we knew Linfield were playing Glentoran. But we fully expected it to go down to the last game of the season. I think we were playing Crusaders in the last game of the season, so it was definitely no foregone conclusion that we were going to win the league. We were neck for neck, 50-50 probably at that point. So it was a huge game, massive, as big as it gets. And we didn't start the game overly well.
This was the second half, so I think it was another half time, and even in the lead up to the goal, I think I gave it away, and then I think George McMullen crunched someone to win the ball back, and then it just fell to me on the edge of the box, and I could almost hear people saying shoot, and I went for it. And then it was just chaos after that, and luckily we got another one to secure it before the end of the game. And then the news came through that Linfield hadn't won their game, and it was all over, which was crazy because we had fully expected it to go down to the Saturday, but we were celebrating the league title on the Tuesday.
Getting your hands on the league then, first league title with Cliftonville. Big day, big moment. Just sum up what that meant to you, your hands in the Gibson Cup.
Mad because, you know, for various reasons that have gone through there, just wasn't sure that it was meant to be or it was going to happen. And obviously I wanted it so much because I hadn't done that before. The other players had. That's not to say that they were any less hungry to win it. The opposite. But it meant so much to me because I wanted to prove a point. I wanted to prove to people that I was good enough to play at this level. I just wanted to win a league title at that senior level. So that day was just unbelievable, amazing. You know, I scored a hat-trick on that day. It's my only ever hat-trick against Crusaders, our local rivals. And I'm almost sure the game was supposed to be at Seaview, but everybody showed, you know, a good, really good sportsmanship, I suppose, to allow it to be played here again. And we just had an incredible day that day, and my family were there. It was just fairy tale stuff.
So I know you've sort of mentioned them, but the people that weren't in the changing room with him and didn't play with him or know he's about, just tell us how good Liam Boyce was in the Irish League.
It was amazing. I'm just, you know, I've always counted myself so lucky to be able to say that I played with him in the time that he was here. Just unbelievable footballer, and a great person to be there with, to bring me along. I was really close with Liam in the year that I played here, around the same age. We played together a little bit in international youth football. And I was a student at the time, and Liam was just playing football, so we were able to spend a lot of time together, and he really took me under his wing. I remember going to his house quite a lot before games and just sitting watching football or doing something just to kill a bit of time before matches. And he was so good for me always, you know, filled me with confidence again. He just has a really good attitude towards football. He just wants to enjoy it. I always remember him saying, you know, shoot, or, you know, do the trick, or go and beat somebody. Why not? You're not going to regret it. It might not come off, but, you know, he always said that the one time it does come off, you know, it's amazing. It can be unforgettable. So I've always loved his attitude towards football, and he was just a really, really good friend for me, and has been since.
So moving forward a wee bit, recent League Cup success for Cliftonville, one of the best finals probably you can remember in Irish League football, but tell us a wee bit about that day and what it meant to get your hands on the trophy again.
Just a fantastic day, really. You know, one I'll never forget, because it was an incredible game of football. People probably, you know, talk about probably another match that we're probably going to discuss, but in that game we were 2-0 down after 60 minutes, you know. So to come back from that showed real character and showed real spirit across the group. I suppose, you know, between this picture and that one, we'd had a difficult time as a football club and as a team, and I did as I suppose one of the old guard from the previous team, still there and trying to sort of deal with the expectations of that, of a club that's won the league twice in a row. It can be difficult, but I think it's fair to say we went through a sort of transitional period, and this is us coming out the other side of that. You know, we'd had great managers in Jared Little and Barry Gray. But I suppose when Paddy came back in, something did click, and it brought a bit of belief back in to the whole club and into the team, and we felt that we could challenge again for honours, and that was just an unbelievable day where we got our hands on some real silverware after probably a bit of a barren spell. So yeah, I'll always remember that one.
And looking back towards the start of your career to then, that was a record-breaking crowd that day. How do you see the progress that the league's come on as well during your period within the league, and the upward trajectory it continues to go on?
Brilliant. It's great. It's really been noticeable. I mean, I just feel like the league's come on leaps and bounds from some of these pictures when I first came into the league to now. Just everything about it. It's grown in its profile. I think it's more professional. All of the coverage, the advertising, the social media around it's now gone to another level. So the promotion around the league, I think, has really helped it to grow. And I think we're seeing the fruits of that across the league. It's brilliant to see. I mean, the improvement and the change and the development that we've seen in the last 10 years has been incredible. So I'm really excited to see where that goes now across the next 5-10 years and see where we are then. But it's been a really exciting period to see it grow as much as it has.
So the Cliftonville fans, I know you've touched on them throughout this, but you have a great relationship with them, and some of the messages and comments on social media you've received have been really nice. But what have the Cliftonville fans meant to you?
Again, probably stuck for words. It's just been overwhelming in recent weeks, the messages that people have sent, or people stopping me in the street just to congratulate me, and the amount of people who have just thanked me for what I've done for the football club. But it just I suppose it brings home what it actually means to people. It means so much to so many people, this football club. It's not just a football club, it makes such a difference to their everyday lives. I mean, one of the best things about winning the match at home is just sending people home happy and letting them enjoy their weekends, or letting them go into work with bragging rights, maybe, if we're lucky enough to do that. They've always had my back. They've always been really special and generous, I suppose, in their support for me and for the team. But I suppose the last few weeks has sort of, I suppose it's sunk in more as to how much maybe I mean to them, but how much they mean to me. I think more so. I'll miss playing for them and in front of them now for the rest of my life, but I have so many good memories to look back on too, so I can't complain. Just really grateful that I had the opportunity to do it.
For you, what's the best thing about the Irish League?
It's them, the supporters. They're the lifeblood of it. And it has so much potential, the league, I think, because of them. It's probably not my place, but I think if we can improve anywhere, I think it's probably in the facilities and giving them a better experience and match day and things like that. I think they deserve that. I think the whole league deserves that. No single club. I think all of the clubs and all of the club's supporters deserve to have really good days out, safe days out, and better facilities, better stadiums across the league, places to travel to with their families, and we can make it a really good experience for people that they look forward to going to every single week in, week out across the season.
Tell us a bit about Tommy and the impact that he had on your career.
Yeah, again, it's immeasurable, really. He was the one that brought me here. He backed me, he wanted me here. I don't think it's only because of the likes of Conor Devlin or Liam Boyce or these other players that were there that day in Santa Ponsa. I think he had obviously watched me, and there was something that he liked in me, I hope. And again, with all the managers that I've spoken about, they've always filled me with confidence. He backed me from day one and just put me in the team, maybe earlier than I deserved, but he just wanted me in, and he to break into that team was an achievement in itself because of how good they were. But he threw me in, and all he used to say to me every week in this changing room was just go and play. There were never any instructions, never anything complicated or complex. He would just say go and play and go and enjoy yourself, and I love that. So I'll be eternally grateful to what he did for me. And it's always been difficult, because there's even days now where I'd love to pick up the phone and ask him a question, or get a bit of advice from him. So I'll always be grateful, and I'll always be thinking about him.
Sort of a nice way to end. How do you even start with that? The Irish Cup final recently. Tell us a bit about the day from the start, raising that trophy at the very end. What was that like as an experience? Again,
just sort of fairy tale stuff. Just a bit of a trend here that I've been so lucky. There have been hard times through the years as well, but I just always tried during those hard times to put my head down and try and do my best for the football club. Just as simple as that. The club's been so good for me, and so good for so many people, and it means so much to so many people that even through the barren years, I suppose, if you like, we just cared so much about it that we never let that affect our work ethic or our belief that we could deliver something really special. And in the end, we managed to do that. To lift it with Joe, just an incredible moment, really, to do with one of my best friends, somebody who I've played with here for, I suppose I've been here 10 years, because Joe went across the water for a year. But a friend for life, and Joe, to lift it with him was special. I suppose I've Rory to thank for that. I've Rory to thank for a lot of things. I think him and Rowan's performance in the final probably got it over the line, as well as all the other lads. Everybody in that picture, I've said it to them. They don't realise what they did for me on that day through their performance and their character, and coming from behind in the way that they did. It was just a really special day.
And what were the celebrations like afterwards? How long did they continue for?
Haven't really stopped, to be honest. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. We waited 45 years for it to happen. So it's still a bit of a pinch me moment, even looking at the picture, and we enjoyed it as we should. We've enjoyed it for a couple of weeks, but slowly now, I'm sure the manager and everybody around the football club, the players, they'll start to turn to think about next season, and the manager already has. He's brought in players to try and improve us and push on, and rightfully so, because I'm hoping that that's not it's the end for me, but I'm hoping for the group of players that are here for this club, it's only the start of things to come, and hopefully we can have a period of sustained success going forward, and that we're not still talking about the Irish Cup of 2024 in a few years' time.
And moving forward, what's the future hold for you, and what's that going to look like?
Immediately, I'm getting married very soon. That's taken up a lot of my time and my thoughts. So really looking forward to that, and then I think the plan is to move to America in a few weeks' time as well. My partner done really well to get a job offer in America, in Washington DC, so I'm going to follow her across, and no real solid plans, to be honest. Hopefully do a bit of coaching, because I've been getting my badges recently. I want to stay in football. So that's the plan at the moment, and hopefully try and get back here and watch a few games as well. Thank you for everything, for the support, for those magical moments that I've been able to experience throughout my career, in the hard times and the good times. They've been brilliant to me, across both clubs that I've been at. In fairness, the supporters have always been very, very kind. So thank you, and I'll be a supporter like all of them very, very soon. I'm hoping to be back here in the very near future and catch a couple of league games before I leave. It's just a decision as to whether I sit in the understand or the Mackillary. But yeah, I can't wait for that, and I'll be a supporter for many years to come.